Welcome all to the third installment of Scripting with Sol. I am Commander Sol, and in today's tutorial we will be talking about choice events and the links to other files in mods. Today we will be looking at precisely one script in this file, and that is the Angmar choice script from my own Conflicts of Eriador mod. This starts with a monitor event faction turn start command, which will trigger immediately on the first turn, and if the faction is Portugal... Actually, this if statement is unnecessary now that I've got the historic event with the faction parameter there. So I will remove that. Anything for simplicity. We declare the counter for the waiting answer thing. We set two event counters, which are important for later, as we shall see. Then we have the monitor event for the actual choice. Again, a faction turn start, and this time on turn 53. If the faction is Portugal, and if the turn number is exactly 53, then the counter waiting answer will trigger, and the historic event. This is different to other historic events in that you have the historic event, the body of the thing, then true. This is what makes it a choice script, a choice event. It will come up on your screen with a tick and a cross, which you can click on. That decides the choice. And then the factions, Portugal. Now, choice scripts, of course, only work properly for the player, which is why you have if the local faction is this. If the local faction is not Portugal or Angmar, and the turn number is slightly higher, then they get a bit of buffs, and we generate a random counter for it between 1 and 2. And if it is 1, then they choose the Númenóreans, and if it is 2, they choose the Orcs. And then that's simply spawning an army with each and ending the monitor. Now here is the important bit. Monitor event counter. This is one I did not go over in the last tutorial for the simple reason that it is better suited to this one. It will always be followed by event counter type, and then Angmar Alliance choice accepted. This bit doesn't matter. It's the accepted bit that does matter, and then the declined bit on the second choice. If the event counter, this bit here, the and event counter equals 1, must be there. Then the rest of it is however you wish to make it. You have, in this case, you have a set counter and set event counter, and spawn armies, and a historic event. Actually, for this one, it should trigger for everybody, because it's... I'll deal with that later. And some console commands for ancillaries, and then some new commands. Set faction standing, which basically just determines the relation, how much each faction likes the other. And then diplomatic stance, neutral, between Gundobad and Portugal. Then the monitor ends, so it can only trigger once, thankfully. Or Angmar would be getting an infinite spawn of very good units. And then the decline side, again, event counter must be 1. We have, again, the set counter alliance waiting answer here. Set counter, another set event counter, another spawn army, which is incomplete because we don't have the units yet for that. The historic event again, but this time for choose Orcs, not choose Númenóreans, and the monitor ends. This time does not have any set faction standings. Doesn't change. Then we have the monitor event game reloaded true condition. Again, this is better suited to this video than the one on complex monitors, because it is most often used in choice scripts. It will only trigger if the player faction is Portugal and if the counter Angmar Alliance waiting answer, which will only be once the message has popped up, but before a choice has been made, it will offer you the choice again in case you accidentally closed the game when you had it. But if you are not local faction Portugal, it will terminate the monitor. That is a choice script, a relatively basic one. But of course, the only one I'm willing to publicly show yet from this mod, my mod. Now we come on to links with other files. I'll start with the description regions file. As you saw in the last video, there was a general capture settlement name Weather Hills, or here settlement name Mount Graham. This directly corresponds to the second line in the description regions file. For example, if we wanted the Weather Hills, which will be somewhere around here, but I can't really be bothered to find it, so instead I'll go for Mount Graham here. The province name, the region name, is Mount Graham Province. It doesn't matter what it shows up as in-game, this is its actual in-file name. And the settlement name, Mount Graham. That's the only real link between the two here. Then we go to the export description buildings, the EDB, and this is where event counters really come into their major use, this and the other two files. We will see the event counter Angmar Numenoreans here, which means that this building can only be constructed if the event counter Angmar Numenoreans is 1, so only if you've chosen the Numenoreans as Angmar. These can be used in as many different ways as you wish. Then we come on to the EDCT, export description character traits. In the actual trait defining section, as you see here, it doesn't actually do anything. But when you come on to the triggers, which I will have to quickly find an event counter. There we go. And this will do. Trigger Ringbearer remove 3. If the event counter quest to destroy ring is 0, and that is the only time this can trigger, when that is the case, this will happen. It's much the same in the EDA, export description ancillaries. For example, the ancillary Scather Gold will only be added when the event counter Scather Artifact is 1. I do not believe there are any other links between files that I need to show you today, and I'm not yet sure what I will be talking about in the Force scripting with Sol tutorial, but rest assured there will be more until I have covered everything that I know about scripting. But with that, I must bid you adieu. Commander Sol over.